Good morning, good afternoon, welcome everybody. I'm your host Talos Mobius, and with me as always is Alter. Say hello, Alter.
Afternoon.
We're going to be breaking down once again another battle, and that battle is Turmoil in the Desert, as you've seen it be called. It's a desert match where myself, and two of my clanmates, Hyena Maids and Dude, are partaking. Sarud is the Black Rider. Hyena is the Ga-zowmn Gunner Type, and I was the Jeda. Although many people will probably yell at me for being the Jeda because of how disgusting it is. I mean,
It's pretty nuts. Still to this day, I think it's the best 450 general.
for sure. So let's switch over and let's see really quickly the gameplay, shall we? Can we let's talk a bit about the Jedi before while it's launching. The Jedi is probably one of the still most solid generals because of the multipliers on its damage that it does to components is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I think it's partly that, and also the fact that it's very mobile for
Yep.
the kit that it has. Like all of its weapons can be fired fired while moving, with the exception of one.
Yep.
So that's and that coupled with its 130 base move speed, that makes a pretty big difference.
Yep.
Also,
Uh,
really good front swing, really good downswing.
of course. Very good range on both of them. Let's begin by looking at the rest of our team. It was another Jedi and a Pale Rider VG. Jedi itself, we just already talked about. The VG is one of the best, again, um, units at cost.
Yeah, it's basically just a blue raid.
Chaos and Suit
And
at
I
the very
mean,
start. Sorry?
you have the Black Rider, which is like a pseudo stealth unit, and then the Ga-zowmn Gunner, which I think is kind of underutilized at 450. It's one of the I wouldn't say it's like the best support, but it is very solid.
Oh, yeah.
It's very flexible.
Already we're taking the advantage on the front. Again, and unfortunately, an annoying, for me at least, the Marasai, which did not last very long, thankfully. We very quickly just locked it in place. I accidentally hit our
I'd say
number card.
the I'd say the Marasai's kit just inherently makes it pretty annoying, especially with the Fedayeen rifle.
Oh yeah, I don't understand how that that Isaac cannon missed two of its well, three out of its four shots technically. But already a very lopsided match, as you can see. We're winning 3,185 to 1,220. We've only lost the Ga-zowmn once and the Black Rider once, both of which are not excessively tanky.
Yeah, they're on the squishy side. The Ga-zowmn Gunner pays somewhat for the fact that it can transform, which for a 450 support that is already like relatively nimble, I think is a
Yeah,
big asset. Kind of harder to lock down.
always I'd say useful when you can keep staying agile in this game. In this game, movement is power, and we just saw him just counter snipe the Marasai. But the Marasai must not be happy with himself. Yes, then swing. Legs are broken. Well, not broken, but damaged.
Overloaded, yeah, from the fall.
And that pretty much is the DPS of the Jera, just instantly shredding the enemy unit.
Yeah, that's another reason that the fact that you have to stop to fire one of your grenades is not really a major limitation, because oftentimes you just want to use it after you knock somebody down anyway, and then you don't really need to be moving.
Yep. And you can unload all of them. Now, the
Yep.
funny thing is that we only have two people on the field, and they're still staying alive quite often while still in combat, which proves a lot that at times you can survive long enough. The Marasai is currently, as you can see, just trying to lock down our support, but as you notice, he's quite the good.
Slippery.
Yeah. I give Heine a lot of credit often, and that he's actually really good at staying in the front, even with a support. I wish he took that
Sometimes that's
field.
what you gotta do.
Yeah, especially when you have just two people on the front, you kind of horrible miscommand, by the way, but shut down really quickly that pretty much the front line just with the range of the melee overall. The only disadvantage that things like the Jedi have, we had a team that was mostly squishy units actually. Now that I'm thinking about it,
On the squishier side, I'd say. I mean, the VG is not like super squishy, but it's not very durable. The Jeda's kind of middle of the road in terms of durability. Like again, I wouldn't say squishy, but not like you do have a somewhat, I guess I'd say insufficient front line. Like you don't really have like a big beefy unit you can put up in front to hold the line.
understandable.
The Jeda's more of a midliner, and again, the VG is just like a blue raid.
I think overall we kind of started losing here because we lost a lot of our push because we were spawning, separately from each other, which is why you see here just pretty much me staying at range, just doing as much damage as possible. Because me, Haina, and Guest, as I'm going to be calling number 4 from now on, that range of the latency of the. There's nothing more annoying than a Maraseg with bad latency, by the way.
Yeah, I mean the Marasai is just kind of frustrating in general. Like I know there's a lot of discussion about how even having it on your team can be frustrating because you'd rather have like more of a frontlining general who can hold the line for your supports, and instead you have a Marasai, which is just kind of doing like a blue support thing.
Pretty much. ASL is really powerful. And that's
Yeah, it
why.
definitely comes in handy sometimes.
And that's why you need to use Vulcans often, which I see Vulcans being the most underutilized tool in everyone's kit, honestly.
It kind of varies because like some Vulcans are just kind of tacked on. They're just there and they're not particularly good. But some Vulcans are absolutely insane. Actually, the Jeda's Vulcans are in the latter category.
Yep.
They're one of the reasons the Jeda is so strong is that you have access to these insane Vulcans on top of two really good build-up stuns. So
Speaking
you
of,
get a lot of mileage out of that. Yeah, there you go.
I keep forgetting that the and this I told you before that if I remember correctly, Zara did have anti-blast stabilizers or something of the sorts to keep it from stunning as often. And we just see Hyena just hit a beautiful death beam, just clear a few people.
Yeah, that is one of the better assets that the Ga-zowmn Gunner has.
Hit
One of the
the.
reasons I think not enough people are playing it.
Oh yeah. By the way, the reason I was mag dumping those was because if even after you fire one, might as well just reload them afterwards or waste them.
Yeah, because you don't want to be switching to it later and have like a not full clip.
Yep. Another mistake here where I thought I could maneuver armor or anti-blast through it. Me doing that actually benefited greatly because that way I was right in front of them. Again,
Yeah,
the whole.
sometimes you gotta really be mindful of like where your positioning is going to be after a tackle.
Yep. Fall prevention system is so good on this unit. Again, it has a very loaded skill list on top of everything.
Yeah, we're also really seeing the just how oppressive the Jeda's downswing is.
Yeah, and we also see the barrage, the constant barrage um, from the Ga-zowmn Gunner Type as well.
It's putting on a lot of damage.
Here we got a kill, specifically Haina got a kill, and pretty much won the match for us by keeping me also safe.
Yeah, that was a really ballsy play at the end there.
You won't
And
see many
it,
support
yeah,
players do
kept you
that.
from losing.
You won't see many support players
Yeah,
doing that.
I think support players broadly are the most rigid players in this game in terms of, I guess, strategy and tactics. Often to a fault. Like I know a lot of support players, and like I'm a support player myself. Like I am still technically a support main, even if I often end up deferring to other people because I'm willing to fill.
Mhm.
Um, and I find a lot of support players will just kind of like pick a spot to set up and try to snipe, quote unquote, and then they wonder why they can't do anything when a raid rolls up on them and just murders them because like they're off back in the corner by themselves. And it's like even with a maneuver armor break, like you can knock down a raid, but you're not going to like they're going to get up now. You probably have reloaded whatever you used to break the maneuver armor, and things have reset now. Like you're not going to be able to kill them before they kill you. So you have to be kind of more dynamic. Hyena's kind of putting on a clinic here as far as like how to play support. Like sometimes you do want to sit back and take pot shots. Sometimes you kind of want to move up and stick with your team. Sometimes you kind of want to do the crazy stuff like he did at the end where you run in and intercept somebody and it could be the reason you didn't lose a game like this one.
Correct.
If he had done what a lot of support players would do in this game and just sat back and took pot shots, this would have been a loss. And then we would have been hearing about how raids are broken or the camper's broken or I mean not from him, he wouldn't say that, but I mean a lot of people in his position would. So yeah, I mean I think the biggest takeaway from this game is that you have to be more dynamic when you're playing support, just like you would with like generals and raids. And I think like to be fair, you kind of have to do that to even subsist at all with those rules. So I see why people like pick that up more easily. They realize like you have to be more adaptable and respond to circumstances better as a general or a raid. Whereas with a support, they like your job is basically just lay down fire from a safe distance most of the time. So people look for any way to do that. But sometimes you got to kind of like balance that with positioning relative to your team and kind of looking ahead at your circumstances. Like, am I gonna get flanked by a raid or something if I don't move up? Just a lot of little things that I'm frankly not conveying super well right now. You'll have to bear with me. It's been a long day, but yeah, again, this is just kind of a testament to how support should be played.
And the best
And
part is that sorry to cut you off, but a lot of it as well is you noticed was a lot of the shots he fired were from afar, meaning that he was playing in both areas, as you put it.
yeah, like he's moving up and moving back where appropriate. He's looking for like constantly reassessing his situation to see when he should be sitting back and taking pod shots like most supports would versus moving up and kind of getting into the fray, I guess, like a lot of supports wouldn't.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think we also kind of see just a testament to how insane the Jeda is because again, I still think that's the best 450 general. Like I think the best 450 generals I would say are probably the Jeda, the Gelgoog Stutzer, the Gym 3 powered, to a lesser extent the Pale Rider VG. I think it's good, but I think it's kind of a tier down from those. And I mean this like incidentally, this is a game where I think you wish you had the Stutzer because the Stutzer is just this big obnoxious frontlining general that would have made up the difference for you if like either your other Jeda or the VG had been a Stutzer instead. But the Jeda in particular, the reason I think it's the best for general is like it's a lot of stuff that you don't really see on paper per se. Like if you just look at like a spreadsheet of this unit, you can determine that it does really good damage, and that's a good start. But what pushes it from being a good unit to just the best unit is the fact that I guess I should mention the Mara side. That's another one of the best 450 generals currently. But anyway, back to my point. What pushes it from being a good unit to the best unit is the mobility and how that interacts with its kit. Like again, you have 130 base move speed, which is very high for a 450 general. And like the Camphor has that, I believe it has that. But the Camphor is also significantly more squishy than the Jeda is. Like the Jeda is still like a kind of middle of the road durability unit with that much mobility. Pretty high speed movement too. I think it's like 215.
Yeah, I think
And
so as well.
again, all but one of your weapons can be fired while moving. And the one that can't, like, you might occasionally stop to fire it for suppression, but generally you just want to dump it into somebody you've knocked down. You have really good Vulcans, and this is another case where the Vulcans tie the kit together. Like something like the Hainu or the Snanju Stein, where the fact that you can switch to these Vulcans while you're like running away from somebody or closing the distance on somebody, and then you also add in the like forward advancing downswing that you can use to catch people. It's all of these things in tandem. Like it's just how well it regulates space using the combination of these tools that it can largely use without having to stop moving, on top of moving very quickly. So I think that's really like the power of the Jeda. It's not just the damage. The damage is really nice, don't get me wrong. But
It's
I
the
think,
mobility.
yeah, well, because like you look at the Pale Rider VG, that has insane damage, like absolutely insane damage, or the Gym 3 powered, and those are very good. But what puts the Jeda above them is the damage in tandem with the mobility and the space control, and again, just how it all fits together to allow you to regulate space really well.
Also, I should give a shout out to their number one, the Team B's number one, because putting that much work with the G3 is impressive. It proves that the Gym 3 is still a solid unit.
Yeah, I mean, I think the G3 is still like, it's kind of like a budget Rigazi. It just sort of does everything pretty well. It's more so that he did that against this team because like he really had his work cut out for him. Like it is not hard to deal with two Jedas and then also the VG that's kind of fighting you, like playing you at your own game. So yeah, I mean, he really put up results.
Overall, I gotta say that this was a really close match, and again, it was the momentary decision from Heine that pretty much kept, at least for certain, the match from ending against our favor. Which
He made the right call there.
Which puts the following in perspective: your teammates are gonna be both your bane and your saviors.
Absolutely.
But I think that we covered more than everything. We covered especially the Jeda and its incredible performance, like as a unit itself. The enemy team also was solid. We had the G3, the Blue Destiny Unit 3, 2 3s already. That is funny. A Camper, a Marasai, and the obnoxious Isaac Cannon.
Yeah, all those are very solid, especially the Camphor, the Marasai, and the Hyzak Cannon. Those are all top contenders at 450. The Camphor's still very good. I wouldn't quite put it in the same tier as those units I mentioned. The Marasai is in that tier. This was probably before the Marasai got its slew of buffs, at which point it was still very good, and then it, for some reason, received buffs, and now it's just absolutely oppressive. But it is what it is.
But I think that covers a little bit of everything. I don't think that we have anything else left. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I'd say that about wraps it up.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for coming. A quick.
See you next time.